Howdy y'all, Butcherman here, back with some Farming Simulator 15. And I think today we're going to go out and we're going to do some planting, some fertilizing, and we're going to go do some harvest. If you haven't noticed, I sped up the time to the next day because the last video ended and it was starting to get dark. So if you look here, we're going to go up and plant, fertilize and plant 3 with barley. Then we're going to go down to field 11 and harvest the barley off field 11. I don't know if we'll get to the straw or anything like that today. It's kind of hard to say. It depends on how long the video goes. We do have a pickup trailer though over at the cow farm. We can get the pickup trailer and pick up the straw and go sell it at the straw power plant. Whenever I sped up time at midnight, since I have so many loans and all that stuff, I did lose, I believe it was like $20,000. I mean, so, you know, we really need to start making some money and start paying down some of those loans. I did have the idea that maybe we could sell all the straw and try to get enough money for a skid steer, but I think what we really need to do, you know, as productive farmers and trying to get the farm in good shape, we need to pay off a little bit of the loans. You know, just kind of get us going in the right direction, you know. It's kind of hard to build a farm when, you know, every day, you know, they take $20,000 out of our pocket and say, hey, we need this because you owe us money. Which is weird because, you know, like if you play Euro Truck Simulator 2, then most you should know that, at least on there, you take out the loans, and then when they take money out of your bank account, that actually goes toward the loans. Like it actually pays, like it pays interest, but it also pays off part of the loan. It would be great if they kind of did that in Farming Simulator, but you know, I can understand them making you only pay the interest, but because it's kind of up to you to pay your payments and whatnot. But I would like to see it to where whenever they take money out of your pocket, it actually, part of it, you know, kind of goes toward the money you owe them. It'll help you get it paid off, and it kind of forces you to pay it off. Like Euro Truck, they kind of force you to pay it off, and really, you get it paid off, and you really don't even notice. You know you're paying money, but you know, in the long run, it's kind of like, you know, you don't notice it so much because of the fact that it's coming out every day, and it's, you know, every so many hours or whatever, in a steady, kind of a steady flow, if you will. I've been trying to figure out how I want to do this. I think what we're going to do is we're going to plant barley in this field, and what we're going to, like, kind of the trend I'm going to try to go with is pretty much whatever I harvest off the field, it's going to go like one up from that, at least with the main like 3 cereals or whatever. Like for instance, we harvested canola off of this, so you go up 1 from that. It'll be barley, and then after we harvest the barley off of a field, we'll put wheat on it, and then back to canola. The corn and sugar beets and potatoes, you know, once we get to stuff like that, then it'll kind of be like, you know, we just plant that kind of random. You know, I don't want to do it too awful much. I don't know if we can just turn around or not. We should be able to. I don't know how much I'll plant those. I think once we get the machinery, like once we decide to, you know, start doing it, we finally get the money for it, you know, and start jumping into it, then it'll be something we do probably almost every field for a little bit, just to kind of make some of our capital back, you know, make it worth it to get the equipment. One thing I have thought about doing is actually getting the rental mod, because I do know a lot of people use that rental mod, and so I've thought about getting that, but I don't know. Oh, how much of this is going to say we don't own? Did they really mess it up this bad? Okay, it's letting me do it there. I'd like to be able to do this whole field, but you know, like you'd see, it's not really letting me. See, there's another section I don't own. And that right there, I don't really know, you know, I don't know a lot about programming these maps or, you know, laying everything out, but basically that's, as far as I can tell, that's basically like they kind of messed up when they put in the field. Like the parameters of the edge of the field aren't exactly right or something. You know, but nothing's perfect. I mean, little things like that, you can kind of ignore little things like that, you know, because he went really in detail on other stuff on the map. So, I mean, if the fields aren't exactly correct, you know, a little bitty field like this, it's not really going to make that big of a difference. I mean, obviously, if you go by a field and you can't plant like half of it or something like that because the map doesn't realize that you know, don't own half of it, or you don't own that half or whatever, then that's kind of a big deal. You know, we'll kind of look at that. I did research the newbie farm map. I don't know what you guys are thinking on that. Whether you want me to do the newbie farm map. I did kind of look in the topic or whatever you want to call it for the newbie farm map. The discussions and stuff for it, and best I can tell, basically the creator, the guy that made the map, did it in a way so that you could actually, the idea I think was to actually go and download like a placeable pigs and beef mod. Best I can tell, that's kind of how it works. It'd be nice if, you know, if he had put like a link or, you know, suggested one or something like that, because I've looked and I can't really, you know, I don't see any that look really awesome. If you guys know of one, that'd be cool if you actually linked that to me or something, or, you know, sent me a message, whatever, and said, hey, you know, you should use this one, something like that. Because I looked and I haven't really found one. I didn't really look for a really long time, just because I've got a lot of other stuff going on, and doing these videos is about all the time I've spent on the computer. And pretty much all I do is, like today, I'm going to record this video. It's going to get recorded, and then I'm going to stop recording. I'll basically open it up in Windows Video Maker, whatever, and while that's actually loading in, I'm going to go outside and probably work on the lawnmower or something like that. No. Okay. I do have a lot of stuff going on. I need to work on trying to hook the trailer to the lawnmower to clean up the tree that I've been trying to cut up. I got to deal with the fact that like my lower back is almost completely out from cutting up the tree. But you know, it's just one of those things that whenever you're working on stuff and like you own a house and, you know, you run a wood stove, and, you know, there's just this giant list of things, you know, that need to be done or aren't getting done. I think what we'll do is we're gonna leave that there for now, and hopefully I remember. But I think what we might do is, there is a weight on the front of that. But what we'll probably do with that tractor is we're gonna leave it there, and then I'll take it to the cow farm, put the fertilizer spreader on the front of it, and then hook the pickup trailer to the back. And then the weight, I can always come and, you know, get the weight later or something. I guess I could always just leave the weight. I don't really need it. If I put the fertilizer spreader on the front of that tractor, then that will be my weight. But I think what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and take this tractor and the seeder over to field 11. Or what is it? Field 11? Yeah, field 11. We'll take it over there, and that way it's there and ready to go for whenever we get done harvesting. That way next video, whatever, we can just go ahead and start seeding and stuff. So, but we'll get over there and we'll start doing our thing over there, doing our harvest, getting all our wheat or our barley in. If you're wondering why there's no traffic, you know, there is traffic on this map on this one road, because it's the only main road they have. I turned traffic off for my other, for my Chellington extended thing, because I have a lot of courseplay going on there. And if you turn traffic off, it's for all of your maps. So like, I can't be specific and I forgot about it, but it doesn't really bother me on this map since there is only one road. You know, it doesn't really play that big of a role. I don't really care much for the AI on Farming Simulator. Like, it's great. Kind of gives you that nostalgia of, you know, their cars driving by. But other than them stopping, if you're sitting in front of them or something like that, there's no anything else. Like, there's not a lot of programming in AI, which I don't mind because, you know, obviously if they started programming a whole bunch of stuff into the AI, then it would probably start dragging the game down, you know, quite a bit, because then, you know, CPU usage and like, the game is focusing on other stuff, and so I don't mind it. It is a little, like, it does bug you a little bit sometimes, because the AI is just completely clueless. Now this mud hole here is really deep. If you go back and watch episode 1 of this series, that particular part right there, the middle of the screen, is just, it's a huge hole in the ground. Okay, and the combine. We're going to raise this up so that we're not like hitting the ground or nothing. I have to be real careful. I don't want like straw swaths all over the place. We do have a rake, so we'll probably rake it, but I don't know. If I can keep it fairly organized and whatnot with the combine, we'll do it that way. We won't have to rake it. Let's see. Let's do... Okay. I had to check there, because sometimes when you do like canola and then move to something else and then try to enable straw swath, it'll tell you no, because it's still set, like it still has that mindset or whatever, still saying, well, you're on canola, so it'll say straw swath, you know, not enabled for this crop. I think what we're going to do here is we're going to do like a couple of passes here, probably like 3 or something like that, and then we're going to start going up the side of it. We'll give ourselves a little bit of room to turn around down here. I do really like these mud holes he's put in. I think that one over there that I was just showing you is a little too big. Maybe he should have made it not quite as deep. You know, granted, mud holes do get kind of deep sometime on farms and on back roads and whatnot. But you know, that one's like deep enough to bury a tractor in. You know, in real life, you would pretty much bury your tractor in that one. So, pretty sure any sensible farmer would probably just go ahead and get rid of that. But you know, it's one of those things. You know, he did do a great job on this map. I would like to see him maybe do some updates, do some, you know, improvements. You know, maybe add a few things here and there. I don't know. I can't really complain about it. He did create an awesome map. I love this map. I really want to play on it all the time, but you know, I want to record pretty much almost everything I do in this series. You know, everything I do on this particular save game, just because I think everybody's gonna want to see it. You know, if I'm gonna do a let's play, you guys are actually want to see it. I'm getting extremely excited. I know I talked. I can't remember which episode it was, but one of them I talked about how I had a subscriber, and best I can tell, it doesn't show me all the names. It says something about any, you know, only subscribers that, you know, make their subscriptions public or something like that. Those are the only ones I can see. But I did get an email. That Chris guy is the only one that it gives me his name on YouTube saying he's subscribed. I did get an email with a name. Let me see, what is it? Tyler Reese. It says Tyler Reese subscribed to my channel. It sent me an email that said that. It didn't send me an email for the Chris guy. But it says Tyler Reese subscribed to my channel. So thank you, Tyler. Appreciate that. I'm going to try to keep creating content. I know I didn't put out a video today, but you know, things happened yesterday, and worked on cutting the tree up in my front yard some more, which of course caused me more back issues and more pain. And you know, it's just one of those things that, like I said, when you own a house, a lot of stuff goes on. I've owned my house for 11 months now, and I guess I never realized it was actually that much work, actually owning a house. You know, there's so much work that goes into it. I can get this and spray the straw back over there. But yeah, there's like so much work that goes into owning a house. It's insane how much work goes into it. What do we want to do? I think we might back all the way down through here. But yeah, I still got to work on picking up the tree. With the lawnmower, I don't really have a foiler or side-by-side or anything like that. I'm still kind of young, so I don't really have a lot of stuff. I'm still kind of trying to build on stuff, but I do have a Craftsman rider. You know, one of the 42-inch gray Craftsman riders. I really like it. I went out today, a while back at an auction. I bought a 4x8 trailer, which is fairly small on the back of a truck, but it's nice because it's like small enough to where my idea is I went to Walmart and bought a ball hitch, and I'm gonna fix that up on my lawnmower, and I'm gonna pull that trailer around my lawnmower around the yard. So the tree in the front yard, I'm gonna use the lawnmower and that trailer to pick up all the sticks and stuff, you know, and haul them around to the back to my burn pile. My burn pile consists of pretty much whatever I burn, you know, and ashes, and a big stump. When I bought the house, there's a big stump back there. It had a whole bunch of logs around it. The guy had the tree cut down, and then he chopped up the whole tree into logs, but only piled them around the stump. And they'd been there for probably 4 or 5 years or something. So I had to go through and split all those up with an axe and pile them up around the log and burn them. And I've pretty much just been working, you know, every time I burn stuff, it's always around the log. I'm always trying to like burn the log out. But that's one of those things that, you know, I could get somebody over here to grind the log out, but that's actually fairly expensive. You know, they charge by the inch or something like that. I can't remember. But but the tree I had cut down in the front yard is just insanely large. I mean, it's a huge tree. I know. About the only comparison I have is I took a picture of my cell phone where I set a soda can in the middle of it. But I'm pretty sure the tree is, I haven't measured it yet, but the tree is probably somewhere around about like, at least like 4 foot wide at the base. It might be a little bit more than that, but that's what I'm going to guess. It's about 4 foot wide at the base, which is a pretty good sized tree, especially when my chainsaw only has a 20-inch bar. I mean, I say only, but 20-inch bar is pretty decent. I actually feel like I was fairly lucky to get that chainsaw. I only paid like $110, I think, for it. It's a Poland Pro with a 20-inch bar on it. That was actually fairly well timed. I was at 93% when I pulled up here, and I figured, well, if I'm here, I might as well unload. Looks like we're about 18 minutes in, I think, which is pretty decent. We're at a pretty good pace. I think we should be able to harvest this whole field. Haven't got any comments yet. If you guys actually feel up to it, write me a comment just to let me know what's going on. Mainly, my main focus right now is, you know, do you want to see more stuff on the channel? You know, you think it would benefit the channel if I put more stuff on here? You know, like, basically what I'm saying is more maps, you know, more games. I don't know how much I'll go into doing like more games for the channel. I'm kind of short on funds because of the working on everything basically around the house and around here, around there, or whatever. So I don't know how much I'll be able to afford to like buy a bunch of new games or anything like that, you know. I didn't pick up any of that wheat, the barley. You know. That's kind of not going to be good. But yeah, I think my main thing is like, do you guys want to see more maps? You know, more farming simulator maps? Because I would probably like to do more, but I don't really know what maps are popular. And like, I know, seems like Chellington Extended is pretty popular. People seem to like Coldborough Park Farm quite a bit, which is like, you know, those are like completely different maps, because one is humongous and the other one's, you know, fairly good size. But Chellington Extended definitely changed when they turned it into extended versus regular Chillington. But it seems like everybody really likes that. I do kind of like these little bitty maps. I've never really played much on it. Like I downloaded the old Family Farm map whenever I played 2013, but I didn't really do anything with it. It's just like, you know, playing little bitty maps isn't exactly my cup of tea, you know. But it's one of those things that it's really easy to, it's a lot easier, I think, to do a let's play on these maps than to actually play it. You know, it's a little harder to stand, to, you know, just sit down and play for hours, you know, and start this little map versus, you know, doing videos where you only play, you know, 30 minutes to an hour every day, like once a day. Because this game here, I probably average about 45 minutes a day. About 30 minutes recording, and then like 15 to, you know, somewhere between 15 to 30 minutes of setup, depending on what's going on. Like today, there wasn't a lot of setup, probably like 10 minutes, you know, mainly like driving the combine and the other tractor down here was pretty much about it. Let's see, what else? Maybe I should do a little bit of in-cab. People do tend to like that, I think. It's fairly realistic. The lights really aren't doing much, are they? Yeah. But yeah, mainly just like, what would you like to see on the channel? I do like this map, and I like to keep playing on it. I don't know how many episodes I'll do. I think I'm up to, I think this is episode 9, I believe. You correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously I'll know when I go to upload it. I'll know what episode it is, but I think this is episode 9. I don't know how many episodes I'm going to do this weekend. Obviously the plan is to do 2 videos. This video will go up on Saturday. I don't know if there'll be a video on Sunday, and I'm not sure if there'll be a video on Monday. Just for the simple fact that tomorrow I've got to work on the truck. I've got to put a new catalytic converter on the right side of my 05 F-150, which, if you've ever done that, it's definitely, you know, I don't know how much of a challenge it is, but it seems like it might be a job. And then, let's see, and then we're going to be traveling to go to a Christmas party for my wife's work, and we're going to be spending the night over there. And then I don't know what time I'll be back Sunday, but I almost bet I will not make a video on Saturday. I'm fairly certain. So there won't be a video uploaded on Sunday if you're watching this. This one will come out Saturday. There won't be a video tomorrow on Sunday. But there wasn't a video today because I was busy yesterday. By the time I got done working on the tree and then doing some stuff with the house and whatnot, I was completely exhausted. My back is killing me. I had to go today, had to travel today for work because my boss is retiring at the end of this month, and he decided we needed to travel to see him in order to, I guess, wish him farewell. I don't know how long this video is going to be. It's at 23 minutes, I think. 23 and a half minutes at the moment. I'm really hoping I can make it all the way through this field in the next... Yeah, I don't think I'm going to make it through this field in 6 minutes. But so this might be a little bit longer, but people do tend to like harvest. They tend to like the harvest a lot better. So like I'm guessing like these harvest videos, I can definitely do them. I probably could have left that little field out, you know, field 3 up there, but really, I mean, it only took me like a couple minutes. I think it took more time to actually take the equipment up there and then bring it back than it did to actually do the field. So, I mean, it definitely would have helped a lot if I'd have just simply had the equipment up there already instead of, you know, versus driving. Go ahead and do this. I'll run it until it gets to 100%, and then what I'll probably do is just switch over the tractor real quick and drive it over here. Go ahead and put my pipe out real quick. That should be that right there. Okay. There we go. this real quick and we'll run over there. I think I've talked about this already, but I don't think courseplay is going to do much on this map, just for the simple fact that courseplay has a tendency to run into stuff quite a bit. Did I already have my... Oh, I know why pipe didn't come out. It's because I didn't have the tractor, the combine itself selected. That's why it didn't come out. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, courseplay. It won't be a big factor in this Let's Play because there's no room for it. Because all it would be is I would program it, and then the tractors would just keep running into stuff. You know, they would just consistently always run into the bushes, and they would always run into the, you know, everything. It wouldn't go over very well. I think at the least, I might do a couple of courseplay routes, mainly from the big fields back to the farm, so that while I'm harvesting, I can go ahead and have a semi or like a tipper or something like that waiting, so that I can just keep harvesting and I don't have to make runs back to the farm. I can have just the tippers or whatever running back to the farm. I don't think I'll have any semis on this map. That would, you know, any big lorries or trucks or whatever you call them, just because they wouldn't work. They're too big. You know, they take up too much space and they wouldn't make the corners. And so I mean, that's kind of like one of the things is, you know, probably the biggest tipper we'll get is, you know, probably one of the red ones with like the 2 or 3 axles that, you know, the axles turn when you turn, so it helps you make the turn, make it in through the gates and stuff, because the turns on this are fairly small, you know, so it's one of those things. Let's see what else. There's not a lot more going on with the channel, you know. I'm basically just explaining my ideas and stuff, what we can and can't do. I think today, like at least right now, the next few episodes, the goal is going to be to, you know, pick up this straw, go sell it, you know, probably sell all this barley and the canola we just harvested, try to get some money so that we can pay down our loan, you know, because if we make it through another day, it's not going to make any difference. You know, if at the end of the day we got to pay $20,000, you know, because of loan interest, you know, it doesn't really make a lot of difference how much money you make each day, because of the fact that I have like a $400,000 loan in order to do stuff. I don't know that I'm making even 20 grand a day, you know, so you got to try to make sure you're making as much a day, you know, more every day, versus how much you're having to pay on your loans. You know, at first it was basically try to get the loans, you know, try to, so that I can get equipment and get the farm going and actually be able to actually try to make money. We did buy a field, so that, I mean, that does help. It'll help us bring in more crops and whatnot. I don't know how big of a harvest we'll ever get. This one might be about it. We might move up to like the 70 something case, but I really like the harvesters with the headers that have the trailer on the header, you know, that have the wheels that just kind of pop down, but they're just way too big for this map. You know, this is definitely a small equipment map all around, but it's nice. You know, it gives you that realism, you know, that you gotta sit there and drive everything all over the place, and you know, you can't just like run and gun, you know, do the run and gun farming where you're just like going nuts with it, and courseplay is doing everything, and you know, courseplay and hired workers are just doing everything. Because some of the farms, like the bigger farms, like I play Westbridge Hills, and I can play it for a bit, but really after just even like a couple of days of playing it, you know, once you actually get more than a couple of fields going, then all you're doing is hired workers and courseplay, hired workers and courseplay. You know, you might cart some grain here, or you might run a combine there, or something like that. But eventually it just seems like all you're doing is managing the computer program tractors. You know, it's farm manager instead of farming simulator. Which I guess, you know, there's probably people out there that like that. You are building a nice big farm. You know, obviously all the hired workers are people that work for you and you pay them to do your stuff and all that. But I do like getting back to the basics and doing some small stuff like this. you know, it brings you back to the fact that, hey, this is a simulator. You know, you are going to have to actually work to get what you want. This is going to be a little bit longer of a video, I think. It'll probably be somewhere, looking at a little over 30 minutes now. I don't think there's anything we're cutting out, because all I did was run the equipment up there, do that field, and then drive the equipment straight down here to get to this field. And I didn't plan any cutouts, so I'm probably not going to do it. If you don't like the fact that the video is over 30 minutes, then let me know, and I'll do my best to make sure to manage time a little bit better, so that we're not going over the time. You know, we can stay in the 20 to 30 minute range. Most of my videos are 25 to 30 minutes, because that does seem to go over well with a lot of people. I don't think most people like the hour-long video, you know, because having to sit there and watch a guy play a video for an hour, you know, if you are the kind of person that watches the video. I know I normally just have videos playing in the background. Whoop. Didn't see that coming. I guess we'll just run the combine down here. I'm sitting there talking, doing all my commentary, and not even paying attention to how much, you know, how much is actually going into the combine. So if there's anybody out there, you know, anybody that watches, you know, watching this series that actually is actually playing on this map, or has ever played on this map, you know, that would have any tips. If you come up with any tips, let me know, or anything you noticed about the map that, you know, might need to be changed, or, you know, that I need to know before I jump, you know, before I end up messing it up or something. I don't really know what else to talk about. I gotta work on the truck. I talked about that. Gotta work on the tree. I don't think I'm gonna work on the tree this weekend though, because maybe give my back a little bit of a rest. You know, because at the boss's party today, I pretty much just sat the whole time, because I couldn't hardly do anything. You know, I walk a little bit funny, and it's mostly the lower right side of my back at the moment. I think my sacrum, I think that's what you call it, your sacrum. My sacrum's a little stiff. You know, it has a little bit of trouble. But overall, it's getting better. My wife keeps asking me if I want to put a heat pad on it. I guess she thinks that will help. I might try that tonight, see if it feels any better. Hopefully the truck repair goes well. If I can get the catalytic converter and exhaust whatever off, and then get the new one on, that would be awesome. You know, as long as nothing bad happens to it. If something bad does happen to it, I'm gonna basically just call the local tow company and have them bring their tow truck out and just tow my truck to the local exhaust shop. I got a quote from the shop about replacing it, and they said $500, about $350 for the converter itself, and then about $150 in labor. And so I'm basically trying to save myself, you know, about $100, I guess, because I actually paid $400 for the catalytic converter when I bought it. So I'm trying to save myself $100, which would be great. You know, I try to do a lot of the work myself, because most of it's easy. I normally just jump on YouTube and I'll watch YouTube videos. Now, I couldn't find a YouTube video about doing a catalytic converter on any kind of F-150 or anything like that. So I'm pretty much just like, you know, kind of jumping into it, and hopefully it goes well. You know, one of those things, I guess. That's why I'm saying, like, hopefully I'm able to just pull it off, you know, unbolt it, drop it down, you know, bolt the new one on, and then I'm good to go. So we can drop this in the same pile. There we go. Should be able to run the pickup trailer right over that, and then we'll be good. Shut it off. We'll get this over here, get the grain out of it. We might end up doing a screenshot. That mountain back there looks pretty nice. I'm not sure if anybody liked the screenshot from last time. I liked it. It was a sunset. Well, actually, I got the sunrise on the other side. That's pretty neat. Can't really see the tractor though. Maybe if I swing it around to the other side, that might help. Try to get these picturesque, you know, whatever. Look at that. That's a beauty. Do my HUD hider thingy. Screenshot. There we go, guys. Alright. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, let me know. If you didn't, let me know. Alright, this here's the Butcher signing off.